I'm Morana Miljanovic. I'm here as a captain of this ship, Shirin, and I'm also part of the team of independent legal support. I hold a passport of Croatia. Why am I here? This is solidarity underway, and I mean this in more than one way. It is solidarity with the people of Palestine who have been living under apartheid and suffering abuses for decades and genocide the last 2 years. It is also a solidarity of a flotilla. We are here, almost 50 boats, a couple of hundreds of people, forming tightly knit little communities on each boat, strangers coming together, living together, helping each other. There are boats that have people sleeping on hard decks and not having toilets. There are other boats with people seasick. There are boats that constantly have boat things, repairs for all kinds of things that break, built boats, meeting boats, sourcing all kinds of materials and parts, dropping humans from one boat to another, helping each other. This is a daily routine we have here while we sail towards Gaza. Abdullah Öcalan from the Kurdish Liberation Movement noted that the state has hijacked the power of making ethical and political decisions from the society. Contemporary grassroots movements rarely make a radical claim to take this power back. We have seen decline in class consciousness, fragmentation of the working class, a reduction to identity politics of the voices of the most vulnerable, unrelenting misogyny and racism ingrained in our structures, in our ways of thinking and organizing, increasing surveillance, repression and militarization, ecological destruction, difficulties in seeing struggles intersecting beyond borders, beyond issues and beyond difficulties and differences and disagreements. This flotilla is of course not free from internal contradictions, lacks and mistakes. It is quite macho on top of that. But as we sail together through the nights under stars in the open sea, as we source together parts for repairs when something breaks down, as we exchange position coordinates along with poems with our buddy boats, we'll feel the power of coming together in solidarity. We're driven by an ethical and political calling and committed to not letting fears hold us back. This is why I'm here. Among these 50 boats and hundreds of participants, courage and care, commitment to resistance, to the death machine, commitment to justice, and a belief that other world is possible is here. Believe that other world is not only possible, but on her way. In the words of Arundhati Roy, on a quiet day, we can hear it coming. Here on the high sea, I hear it in splashing of the waves against the hull of our boat, in the creaks of the ship carrying my crew. Flotilla is but a small part of a larger consciousness and action. We are not going to single-handedly halt a genocide. I do hope, though, that the flotilla contributes to gathering of the power of the people to steer away from fear-mongering, xenophobia, racism and fascism towards a world sustaining life. Yes, there is a genocide happening. It is not, unfortunately, the first nor the only one. We know what is happening in Sudan, in Congo, and many other places, and why we need to act on the claim that Black lives matter, that all non-white lives matter as such. The genocide cannot be disjointed from a history of patriarchal state, capitalist and colonial violence. Dehumanization of non-white lives and brutality and of extermination methods have shaken many and even started opening a box of European colonialism. I felt strongly since I was a kid about social justice, about value of more than human life. Initiatives like this bring beautiful, courageous people together and allow communities to build where we dance while cooking at the 45-degree angle, because if we cannot dance, it is not our revolution. Learning from each other, helping each other, sharing resources, building solidarity. Love for life among the people of Gaza stands as a source of inspiration for many, along with a loving rage when faced with a genocide. The flotilla for me is an antidote to helplessness, and I don't mean it in a way that doing something is always doing better than doing nothing at all, and that strategy is not important. We do know that sometimes people act of guilt rather than seeking ways of supporting those that are vulnerable. What I mean is that there is incredible power in staying together and overcoming many obstacles that we have faced. We stay focused on the calls of the people of Palestine that are calls for peace, calls to let them live in safety and thrive. There are many differences, of course, in terms of operational procedures, logistics, the goal of the mission, equipment and training, etc. But I believe the struggle is one. It's a political struggle, it's a decolonial and feminist struggle. It can be framed in terms of human rights and fundamental freedoms, but it can also be framed in terms of love and interconnectedness and struggle to support life. And at the basis of it, it's, for me, the understanding that genocide, for example, is inherent to colonialism, and the death machine of capitalism is the one fueling the social and ecological breakdown, forcing people to leave their homes in search of safety and better life. I think for the threats that we face in terms of a powerful military colonial force underway of committing genocide, we are aware of the risk we're taking and the potential scenarios. For me, what was the most difficult moment, and it was not just one moment, of course, it is seeing and recognizing the way that egotistic, militaristic, and macho ways of relating and organizing creep in our practices and our organizing. And I mean centralization, I mean gatekeeping, I mean focus, prioritizing own interests and not common goals. It would have been disheartening were it not for many beautiful people all around us that really act in spirit of mutual aid and who care for others in non-patronizing and very respectful way. I guess we just need to keep in mind that deconstructing and unlearning harmful practices that we inherit from the wider society is an ongoing process. Seafaring is also a machist world, and decentralized organizing, integrating practices of care is not something that comes easy, even though it's more strong than a centralized one. So that's the hard moments, knowing that we're still not there, but doing our very best. I think there is no such thing as ordinary people. And we have seen recently also quite some examples, people in Italy blockading traffic, dock workers in the past year from Genoa refusing to unload cargo that is aimed for killing, general strikes, all kinds of small and big actions of solidarity. It is also rejecting helplessness and doing something no matter how small. And I don't mean to reduce political subjectivity to being a consumer and to consumer choices, to boycotts, but the core of this beast is capitalism, and it is young, and it is obviously not the only way to organize a society. Anyone can organize on a small scale to provide horizontally childcare, healthcare. Basically, it's about stepping out of the hyper-individualized, isolating cubicles that this system of extraction and exploitation thrives on. Building relations carefully. I believe that at the kind of, not margins, but the sidelines of every grassroots movement, there is this legacy of building relationships differently that is truly revolutionary. That revolutionary action lies in ways we relate to each other and the ways we organize. Also, beyond interpersonal relationships, of course, it is strike of the workers, it is blockading of the roads, it is the students occupying universities. Wherever you are, the power you have is enormous. I've been using the word bubble for years, and I never actually use it in a way that a lot of bubbles make a fun bath. So excuse me for this thought from the top of my head, nice. But it is, I guess I'm inspired by the water flowing around us. We're in the central Mediterranean Sea. Yes, certainly, we are always part in certain bubbles, and we always come with certain privileges. But it does have effect. We will not immediately single-handedly halt all injustices there are, but as coming together and building long-term ways of being, of showing up, of feeling, and being disciplined to organize, we built a very strong base that is not so easy to shake. It's very powerfully symbolic. It is an honor for me as a captain to be sailing a ship named after a brave journalist who was speaking the truth. I mean, it would be beautiful to reach Gaza, but we are not delusional. We know what threat we're facing, and that this mission will not fail when we get intercepted. This mission has been succeeding. If you just look around and listen to our communications and follow what the world as well, I hope that the world gets inspired at least a little bit by this action as well. It's a massive success already, even if it does a little contribution to it.